Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the Man of Steel.
Hey there, comic fam. Bullseye Bob here, and welcome to Everything Comics. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Having Comics with My Coffee. It's the show where I get together with you in a local coffee shop, have some great coffee, and I talk about the comic books that I picked up this week. And of course, I'm talking about the comics that I picked up on September 30th, Wednesday, September 30th this week. And as you can see, I am not in a local coffee shop. I am here again in the Bob Cave, and I'll explain all that later, but there's going to be some differences and some changes that are going to happen to the show. Number one, glad to be back. As you know, I was out the last couple of weeks and really missed you guys, and but had some things going on that had to be taken care of, and I'll get into all that later. But I'm just glad to be back and being able to do videos and talk about my comic books and be here with you all. So thank you all for tuning in. So normally, I film at the Refuge Coffee House, live and in living color, and they're at 9217 Southeast Foster Road, right here in Portland, Oregon. They're an amazing coffee shop, and definitely if you're ever coming to Portland, it's a destination you want to stop at. Let me know you're going to be here. I'll stop in myself, and we can have some coffee and talk about comics, talk about whatever you want. And but I would really enjoy that. And so, but definitely Refuge Coffee House is one of those places that you definitely want to stop and check out. So I have so many comics to go over this week, and I have some announcements, and so let's go ahead and get into those, and then we can move on and get into the good stuff, right? So right now on the screen you're going to see a timestamp if you want to skip ahead of the announcements and just go straight to the reviews. That's perfectly fine, but you can do that now if you want to. So let's get to our first announcement. So the Refuge Coffee House, I have absolutely loved filming there, but the last couple of times that I've tried to film there, it's been really difficult. Not that anything's wrong with the place, but they've taken a turn, and a turn for the good. But basically when I go in there on my normal Saturday morning, they're a lot busier than they used to be, and that's a really good thing. But as it is, because of the vaulted ceilings and the way the setup is as far as sound, it's very distracting. It's very hard to hear myself think, and it seems like the coffee, the espresso maker has gotten a little bit louder as well. And but it just has been increasingly difficult the last couple of days. Plus I've had all kinds of technical issues that have happened as well. But so from this point forward, what we've decided to do is I'm not going to be filming at the Refuge anymore. So I'm kind of changing the format of the show one more time. I'll be filming from the Bob Cave from now on, and just like Mocha Express is the official coffee house of Comics with Bueller, the Refuge Coffee House will always be my official coffee house of Everything Comics. And not to, plagiarize Bueller. I've talked to him about this. It's just a great idea. And it also gives some, advertisement and much play to a local coffee house and some good friends of mine. And so it's a win-win situation all the way around. And so I'll be filming from the Bob Cave. I'll be having coffee from the Refuge, and but they'll definitely be a sponsor of the show and be a part of what I do going forward, as long as I'm doing videos. And so anyway, just wanted to make sure that you know that from now on, it's not going to be from the Refuge, which kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I really enjoyed filming from there. They had a whole different feel. And it's kind of cool being there at 6:30 in the morning, getting photobombed by weird people, and and then some of the people that I've met, like Richard, and a few others that when I go in there I can have a conversation with, and it's just an awesome place. Keith and Kimmy, who own it, they're amazing people, and I just want to say thank you all very much for allowing me to film there. It's been a really fun ride, and I'll still film there future episodes, but they'll be special episodes, And but you'll see, those come up as they do. And but from now on, no more Refuge. It'd be just right here. And but congratulations to them. I mean, more business is good business, and the way that they service the neighborhood there, that's a good thing. So so on to the next announcement. Of course, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe just last week, we were supposed to have our battle draft, the Battle of Hell's Kitchen, and this was the second time it got postponed. Really sorry about that. I don't like postponing things, but hey, life happens, and it just so happens that that was one of the things that had to get pushed aside for a little bit. I don't know when we'll be doing that. It's not something that I'm just going to scrap and do away with. Definitely want to have that battle draft going forward, so please stay tuned. In the next couple of weeks, I'll have an announcement after I talk to the guys, and we'll finally get the Battle of Hell's Kitchens going. And I just want to say thank you guys for being patient and understanding. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is, as you guys know, I'm on another show. That's right, I'm on the Comics with Bueller channel, and I'm on the brand new Coffee and Comics show with my good buddy Bueller. This is where we get together, also have some great coffee, and talk about some of the hottest topics in comics today. And it's just one of my favorite times of the week. And that video drops every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Comics with Bueller channel. And it's always a good time. We always have a great subject. And what we do is Bueller has a preview video that drops every Wednesday on New Comic Book Day that shows you the following week's comics that are coming out. Everything that you'd ever want so that you don't miss anything. And on that video, he poses a question and asks you to leave a comment. And then we use your comments to drive our conversation. It's always, like I said, it's just always a great time. This week's topic, not that long ago, we had one that talked about, what was your greatest comic book find? And had people give us their stories of some of their greatest comic book, finds while they were on the hunt. This one is going to be kind of the opposite. It's, you tell us your comic book horror story, or maybe a book that you got burned on, or that just wasn't worth what you thought it was going to be. But what is your, your bad, comic hunt story is basically what it is. And so go check out his channel if you want to chime in that conversation. You still have a little bit of time. And like I said, Monday morning, join us 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'd be great to have you there, and it's an awesome show. Okay, so before we get into our comic book reviews, we always start with our cover of the week. And this week's cover of the week is brought to you by TKO Studios. TKO is doing a lot of great stuff over there. If you haven't been to their website, there'll be a link down in the description. Go check them out. They've got a lot of great stuff that's already there, and they're about to release their third wave. And there's going to be a lot of great books that you're going to see there coming pretty soon. They have a lot of great books by a lot of great creators like Garth Ennis and Jeff Lemire and a whole bunch of others. They've implemented kind of a newer thing on their website. They have their signature series. And so there's a section that you can go to there and click on it, and you can get any of their books signed by the creators as they have these different signings coming up. I don't think it's a CGC thing, but you can pay a little bit extra and have Garth Ennis sign your book, or have Jeff Lemire sign your book. I think it's pretty awesome stuff. So definitely check that out. But here's the thing. If you see something that you like there, all you got to do when you're checking out is enter the code EVERYTHING20, and you get 20% off your first purchase. And I think that's just awesome. 20% off of comic books. How can you beat that? So go check them out, folks. But this week's cover of the week comes from AWA Upshot. It's Year 1, issue number 5. It's the final issue of the series. And man, this is just an awesome cover. I know that there was a ton of Spider-Man covers. I know that there was a ton of Batman covers. There was a lot of great artwork to choose from this week, but this particular cover really struck me. Being from California, and I used to surf, here's this scene where you have this surfer entering into a tube, and in the water you can see dead bodies. And I don't know why, it just really struck me. I think they took a real actual photo, because if you look at the top of the of the tube. It looks like real water, and then it kind of comes down into the part that's painted, and it's just an amazing scene. The perspective on it, and then of course having that creepiness of those dead bodies in the water. It's just it kind of speaks to the way society is now, which is, you know, people trying to return back to normalcy when there's craziness that's happening and they don't want to deal with it. They just want to ignore it. And that's kind of the thing that's happening here. This guy's going to go surfing. It doesn't matter if there's dead bodies in the water. And so there's that kind of commentary on society there. But look at the colors, look at the composition. It just struck me, and I had to put this up as the cover of the week. Being an old surfer boy, and then also, you know, my love for comics and bringing them both together. And then I'm a huge zombie fan. You guys know that. This was just an awesome cover. So there it is in all its glory. That's my cover of the week, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our reviews. And the first book this week is The Three Jokers, #2. Of course, that's by DC Black Label Comics. This one is written by Jeff Johns and the art by Jason Fabok. This is an awesome book, guys. You guys know that last month I went nuts over it. So dynamic and so cool. The first issue was something else and left us with a real gut punch at the end of the story. But right off the bat, we had all three Jokers revealed, which was a huge surprise to me. I thought we were going to have this slow burn of what the three Jokers were and how they got to be where they're at, and, you know, kind of explaining why there's three Jokers. But no, they just revealed it right off the bat. And so we get all three of them, and pretty amazing story, pretty amazing artwork. And then by the end of it, we have the Red Hood, Jason Todd, finally getting his revenge, and he kills one of the Jokers. That's right, we have one of the Bat family. Finally, Jason Todd does something that he's been on the edge of for a long time, and he commits murder. Real great scene. I wasn't expecting it, and that's the way they left us. And so basically this issue, we have Batman and Batgirl looking for Jason. Of course, Batgirl knows that he's committed this murder, and she's worried about him. Batman's worried about him, and so they're over the city trying to look for him. And then we have the remaining two Jokers who have actually captured Jason Todd, and they have a diabolical plan in place. You know, how they're going to deal with him. And then we have Jason, who's dealing with this thing that he just did and all the emotions that go along with it. And I'm not going to tell you what the Joker's plan for him is, but it's really diabolical. But there were a lot of great callbacks inside of this book to past things in Batman's long career, and which was pretty cool. The things that happened with Jason Todd. I am not a Jason Todd fan, but I got to tell you what, the last two books, both of them, I really enjoyed the story with the Red Hood, Jason Todd, his past, how he's dealing with it, how Batman is dealing with it, and this thing that he's done. And it's just an awesome read and a great story. The artwork by Jason Fabok, you cannot beat it. The line work is amazing. The colors in this are amazing. Every page is just a joy to actually turn and look at, and just, you know, for the pure entertainment of it, you just can't beat it. And so, but you couple Jason Fabok with Jeff Johns, you got a recipe for an amazing book. And so if you're not on the Three Jokers yet, you definitely need to get on it. You guys, I'm just like most people, I'm burnt out on the Joker, even though I love him so much. But it's just always getting, churned up and repeated. And but this is a great story, and I'm really enjoying it. And so should you. All right, so on to our next book, and that is ShangChi, Master of Kung Fu by Marvel Comics. This one is written by Jean Luan Yang. I think that's how you say his name. And maybe it might be a girl. I don't know. I've never heard of the artist. Never heard of the writer before. But I've definitely heard of the artist, and that's Dike Ruan. And you'll recognize that name. I've mentioned in a couple of my videos in the past. He's the artist that is working on Bleed Them Dry over at Vault Comics. And you know how much I love that book. I love the artwork. So dynamic. I love the action, and the way he does the city landscapes inside of that book is amazing. So when I heard that he was going to be on this book, I definitely wanted to get into it. Now, when I was younger, I was not a huge Shang-Chi fan. I really was kind of a kung fu snob, And so when it came to Iron Fist or Shang-Chi, I forget what the other guy's name was at DC that they tried. They were all Bruce Lee clones, and I loved Bruce Lee so much that to me it was kind of, they couldn't come anywhere near the actual legend of Bruce Lee the way I loved him, and so I just wasn't interested. I mean, I read a few of the comics, but it just wasn't interested. The other thing is that I think it's very difficult to actually do kung fu action in a comic book because you have panels that are static, and with kung fu it's the action, it's the choreography, it's just amazing, and so it's very hard to capture it and capture that element that really sings to what it truly is. And so that was another thing. A lot of those old comic books, it just didn't capture that for me. Here recently, there have been a lot of great books that have come out that I think artists are really keying into how to do that. A great example is Firepower over at Image Comics, and how Chris Samney is drawing the action there. I think it's amazing. And I think Dike Ruan is doing the same thing. I just love the artwork inside of this book. And so there we have it. I mean, like I said, not a huge Shang-Chi fan, but the movie's coming out, and I really want to, basically, I'm consuming Shang-Chi stuff left and right now, because I don't want to miss out when I'm watching the movie and understanding Marvel's perspective on it first before we get the MCU's perspective. And so anyway, this is a book that I was excited about, and it didn't disappoint. I really enjoyed reading this first issue. So the basic premise is that we find Shang-Chi in, of all places, Chinatown in San Francisco, and we find out that he has been made the leader of his father's clan, of which he didn't choose to be the leader of it, but back in China, he's been the chosen one, and the rest of the clan is basically coming to let him know that. And then his sister, who is also a leader inside of that clan, wants to take him out. So we have this collision course that's going to happen between him and his sister. I'm on board for it. I can't wait. The artwork inside of this was really well done. I like the coloring, composition, and the writing. It flowed. It was really nice. I've been really critical of Marvel lately because I don't like some of the stuff they've been coming out with. I'm not going to accept drivel and just subpar stuff anymore from them. And but this is a quality book. So if you're on the fence, like I am with some of this stuff, I would say definitely hop on Shang-Chi. It's really well done, and I enjoyed it. Okay, on to our next book, and it's That Texas Blood #4 by Image Comics. This one is written by Chris Condon and the art by Jacob Phillips. And so this book just keeps on intriguing me. Here we are in issue #4, and this is the first issue where I felt like, okay, time to sit back and just let the ride happen, because this is going to be a slow burn. Because we're on issue 4, we still really don't know the mystery of why the character that we saw in the first book was killed. We still don't know what the supernatural thing that's going on inside of the town. We've had a couple of brand new characters that have been introduced in the last 2 issues, and then of course we have the old sheriff in town who's kind of doing his investigation and putting things together, but he's an old dude, and so he's moving slowly, and you can kind of feel that slowness inside of the book as it's conversations that are happening. And but even though it's a slow pace, and even though it's wordy, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I love the writing. I mean, you can feel the dialogue as it's coming off the page. That kind of southern drawl that's going on. And then in the midst of that, there's little characteristics that they put in there in those conversations to inflect character that I think is a very subtle thing to do. And I think that Chris Condon has done an amazing job with that. The artwork by Jacob Phillips is I love it. I mean, it's not it's not criminal, but it has its own feel, its own flavor, and it really works for this book. But again, I'm very intrigued. I can't wait for issue #4. But at this point, really, not much has happened. I mean, we got a lot of character development. We had a lot of back plot developing, but as far as the story moving forward, it has not moved forward just that all that much. And but even so, I love it. It's a great book. So I'm in for the ride. I got my popcorn. I'm gonna sit back in my chair like watching a good movie and just let it unfold and just enjoy it because it's good stuff. Okay, so with that, we're on to our next book, and the next one is Batman: The Joker War Zone. This by DC Comics. This is a one-shot, and it's kind of one of those anthologies. It's got a bunch of different stories inside of it, multiple writers, multiple artists, and it's not like one of the thick $10 books that's been coming out. I think it has like 4 or 5 stories in it, all loosely tied around the Joker War. And I do say that, I'm even saying it loosely. They are really loosely tied to the main narrative. 2 of the stories are written by James Tynion. One of them is written by Joshua Williamson. And I will have to say that you can pretty much, I'd say this is not essential to the Joker War, so you could probably skip it if you really were wondering whether you should have it, to follow the main story or not. You don't have to. I will say that the first story in the book by James Tynion is amazing. It is basically the Joker going to Arkham to have a conversation with Bane, and it's kind of a break from the major narrative, and because there's something that he needs to do, and the dialogue in it is great. The situation in it is great, but I really think it's not so much of a Joker War tie-in as much as it is James Tynion giving the finger to Tom King. That's kind of the way I felt when I read this thing, and I thought it was great. You get the idea that he was just as upset as we were with some of the things that went on in Tom King's run, and here he is going in and basically throwing up the finger and saying this is what it was really like, and I thought it was great. And so just for that, the book is worth it. But really, when it comes down to it, the stories in there, they're not integral to the main narrative. And if you wanted to skip it, it's not essential. So, but I am very glad that I have it just for that story, because I want to go back and reread it because I love the dialogue. It was great. Okay, so now we're on to Nailbiter number 5 by Image Comics. This one written by Joshua Williamson, of course, and the artwork by Mike Henderson. Now, this title has been a lot of fun from the very beginning. Like I said, when I first started it, I didn't read the original Nailbiter series, but that was okay. I was able to hop into this one, get enough of the original series to understand where we were at, and then move forward. And I loved the artwork. I loved the way the story unfolded, and I was intrigued so much by it that I actually went out and bought the whole original, all the original books for the Nailbiter series, and it's amazing. I love that first series, and this series has just been it's just a lot of fun, and the story just keeps getting better and better and better. So the basic premise is that there's a town inside of Oregon that has spawned more serial killers per capita than any other place in the world. Go figure, right here in Oregon, right? And so they were all called the Buckaroo Butchers. The town was called Buckaroo. And the most notorious of them is this guy called the Nailbiter. And he's obsessed with biting the nails of the victims that he's killed. And every single one of the Buckaroo Butchers is unique. They're a lot of fun. And I have so much fun, just getting into all the different characters that Williamson and Henderson created. So as we start this book, we find out that all of the original Buckaroo Butchers are dead. Or are they? Because all of a sudden we have some showing up. And not only that, but we find out that Nailbiter himself has been just kept locked in a basement, basically in a makeshift prison, by one of the detectives. But all of a sudden we've got murders happening, and murders not just happening, but seemingly by the serial killers from the past who supposedly were dead. So basically they start showing up one by one, and they're not only killing people, but they all have a new MO. For whatever reason, it seems that they want the eyeballs of their victims. It seems like there's somebody else in the background kind of pulling the strings for that. But I mean, even from the very first book, we have this amazing scene with a knife pointing directly at an eye close up. Mike Henderson's artwork is pretty awesome on it. But that's the new MO. And so with each book, we've had more and more of these butchers show up. And then finally in this book, we kind of find out why they're showing up. So in this issue, we find out that they're actually a bunch of cosplayers that have gone horribly wrong playing this game called the Buckaroo Brawl. And, you know, I don't know what that is, but it definitely shocks the actual nail biter, because he said he created that game. And so now they're going to go investigate where this all would have began. It's just been a fun ride from the beginning. I don't know if that gives you enough of an explanation to understand what's going on. I'm having fun with it. The artwork is great. That's the only thing about this particular issue I'll say that's different from the previous ones. You can definitely see that it's Mike Henderson's artwork. It's definitely got, you know, some of the same line work, but this is the first issue out of all of them that kind of felt like it was rushed. There's not as much detail in this book as previous ones, and I was kind of disappointed in that. So I don't know what's going on there, but it definitely doesn't detract from the story. It's just one of those things that I noticed. If you're not in this book, I mean, we're into the 5th issue. You can still collect them pretty easily, but this one is a lot of fun. If you haven't read the original Nailbiter series, I definitely say go check that out, because it's phenomenal. And but I'm having a lot of fun reading this one. I can't wait to see what happens next, because now we got a pretty nice direction going on inside of the main plot of this particular story. And I'm really liking where Joshua Williamson is taking us. So definitely check it out. Okay, on to our next book, and the next book is Strange Academy number 3 by Marvel Comics. This one written by Scotty Young, and the artwork by Humberto Ramos. And you guys know, with the first issue, I told you I was not excited about this book. I pretty much almost didn't want this book. I mean, this is the way I looked at it. Who wants Harry Potter in the Marvel Comics? It just, to me, it seemed pretentious. Seemed like they were just playing on a trope that we've already had well done. And now you're going to interject, Marvel characters into that type of setting, and it just didn't intrigue me. But I always read number 1 issues, to check it out. And I was pleasantly surprised. And here we are on the 3rd book, and I'm still surprised. And now I'm at a place where I'm really enjoying it. So hats off to Scotty Young, the way he's spun this story. Hats off to Humberto Ramos, because the artwork inside of these books are amazing. And it's one of the things that I think I like the most about it is that they have all these brand new characters, most of which we've never seen before. Some of them the offspring of characters that we know, like Dormammu's son is inside of this, and what's really cool is that through all 3 issues, we've had a lot of character development. So he's actually developing the characters so that we get to know them, so that we can get behind them. And, it's kind of the same thing that Tom Taylor has done with the new Suicide Squad run. He introduced this whole other team, and, that part of that team merged with the main Suicide Squad team to create this brand new team. And in the first issue, I wasn't sure that I was wanting it, because here's all these brand new characters, none of which I know, none of which I care about, and you're taking me on a journey where you want me to care about it. But what he's done through all the issues, leading up to where we're at now, is he's developed the characters so much that I actually love that Suicide Squad book. It is one of the best titles in DC. And here we are with Marvel, kind of doing the same thing, introducing these new characters. And Scotty Young, I got to say, I'm impressed with his writing, because I'm loving these characters. Not a lot happens. Like I said, it's more, character development. But basically, we have the kids in the academy at this particular point wanting to take a break and they leave the academy and they end up in New Orleans. And you know there's voodoo that goes on in New Orleans, and so they go to a card reader and everything kind of breaks loose from there. It was a lot of fun. I had so much fun reading this book, had so much fun just looking at the artwork. But Strange Academy is one of those books I'm starting to look forward now. At this point, I'm officially putting it on my pull list because I'm really digging it. That's how good it is. So if you're on the fence like I was, I would say definitely give this one a shot. It's really well done. And I'm intrigued by it, and I because of the fact that I really love Scotty Young, and I think he's on this for at least for the next year. I'm going to stick with it because he's doing a great job. So there you have it, Strange Academy, number 3, great read this week, and one that I'm definitely looking forward to going forward. Okay, so we have a few books that came out this week that are basically series coming to an end. So I think the next 4 or 5 books here on the list are series that the final issue has come out, and so let's check them out. So the first one is Alienated number 6 by Boom Studios. This one written by Simon Spurrier, and the art by Chris Wildgoose. This title is definitely going to be going down as one of my best titles of the year as far as all my picks. This was such a surprise. It was so well done, and I really enjoyed the journey that Spurrier took us on in this book. He's definitely done something very special here. The first book kind of introduced us to the concept. You have these 3 kids, all of them named Sam, stumble upon an alien, and they get alienated. So basically they're now connected in their minds by this alien. They can hear each other's thoughts. And they differentiated each one of their thoughts in a different colored font, which made it really cool and dynamic to follow. And but that was kind of the very first, that's what they did in the first comic book. The second comic book was purely, starting to develop the story, the world that they're in, and a little character development so that we kind of knew who each one of the Sams were and how they're dealing with this new alien thing that they have going on inside of them. While at the same time, starting to develop the understanding that that term alienated is also not just being affected by an alien, but how most of us feel in society, kind of alienated from the world or alienated from those who are even sitting right across the table from us. And so they kind of started to develop that, which was really great. Then you get into the third and fourth books, where they start to develop some really amazing themes, themes that and I say amazing because of the way that Spurrier wrote them. So he deals with past trauma. He deals with depression and anger and the issue of suicide. And I got to tell you, those 2 issues were so heartfelt. They were unabashed in how they just dove right into those subjects. And I got to say that Spurrier, he has either gone through some stuff or he's done a lot of studying. Because me as a pastor, I deal with issues of the heart all the time, and he nailed some stuff inside of those books that really surprised me, and I would definitely say that they're some of the best writing that I have ever seen in comic books. And so and then we get to the the 5th issue, and that kind of developed dove back into the main story a little bit more. And so it was kind of different from the previous books, but it's bringing us into fruition into this book, which was the finale. And this book definitely landed the plane. The whole series is just so well done. I really enjoyed it from the very beginning. The artwork is phenomenal. What was his name? Chris Wildgoose is who does the artwork on it, and I love the line work. I love the coloring inside of the Boom Studios has gotten some great coloring in some of their books that have come out in the last couple of years. But this book is just phenomenal from beginning to end. I don't know if there'll be a continuation to the series. I guess it's kind of left there. But if they were to just never visit this again, it is one of the best self-contained stories that you'll ever read. definitely pick up the trade paperback on this one. You want to invest in that one. And if you haven't read the series, and definitely read it for yourself, you're in for a treat because this was very well done. And so there you have it. Alienated, number 6. Great conclusion to a great story. There you have it, folks. Okay, so on to our next book. And like I said, here is another book that is ending, or that is ended. And that is Artemis and the Assassin, number 5. And that one by Aftershock Comics. This one written by Stephanie Phillips. And the art by Francis Fatini, I think is the name. But here's another just really fun title. And I mean, this plays on a lot of tropes that I like. And did it in a new way. So basically the premise is you have the main character, her name is Maya, and she is an assassin, and not just an assassin, but really futuristic. She is part of an organization that travels through time and assassinates different people, changing the course of history. And so that's what you get inside of the first book. You watch one of these assassinations. You kind of see that she's been given orders by this secret society that she works for. You kind of get her weaponry is futuristic, and it had a really cool feel to it. And wasn't sure if I was going to continue with it, but it was enough there. That intrigued me. So picking up book 2, she gets her next assignment, and her next assignment is to go after, of all people, Virginia Hall, famed female spy from World War II. And of course, we know that her code name when she was a spy was Artemis. So there we have Artemis and the Assassin. That's how the name comes about. And so during this assignment, she basically, Virginia Hall, she can feel it. Somebody's there, and she turns, and she ends up doing something that Maya has never had to deal with before, which is actually fighting with one of the victims, fighting with one of the people that she's been sent to kill. And so this fight ensues back and forth, and Virginia Hall ends up grabbing Maya's wrist and activating the time travel device that she has, and boom, they're in the Old West. And that's when things just all break loose, because the society she works for, they didn't have her going to the Old West. So it's an unauthorized jump in time. And so they figure that she is running. So they send all these assassins after her. And it gets crazy. You got this whole thing in the Old West. You got all these futuristic assassins coming after her. And then there's this whole thing going on with her and Virginia Hall, and eventually they end up getting into a relationship. I mean, they become fast friends, and the book, it just evolves from there. It's been a lot of fun. The way it's just gone with twists and turns left and right. I loved the ending of this book, and I definitely left it open for things going on in the for more to come in the future. I really hope that they continue that. I definitely see this book being picked up as a mini series or a movie, because it's just too fun not to pick up something like this. And but anyway, if this is one that you haven't heard about, or you're on the fence about, or you're looking for something cool to try, definitely check out Artemis and the Assassin. I think very soon they're going to come out with the trade paperback on this one. But I really enjoyed this book, so definitely check it out. Okay, so for our next book is Year Zero, number 5 by AWA Upshot. This one written by Benjamin Percy, and the art by Ramon Rosales. And so now, when this book first came out, I completely lauded it. I loved it. It was really dynamic. They gave us a story that had 4 different settings from around the world: one in Mexico, one in Afghanistan, one in Japan, and then one here in Minnesota in America. And the thing that was really cool about it is the artists and the colorer used a different color palette to differentiate each of those areas, so you really got a feel for each one in their own way. And it was just really well done. The writing was really cool. Even though you have 4 separate stories going on inside of the book, you got hooked by the characters really quick. You got hooked by the feeling of each of the places. And then, of all things, you find that it's been set in the beginning of what seems to be a zombie apocalypse. And then you get into the next book, and it kind of continues that, and then gives us a fifth location, which is in the Arctic, where you find out where this zombie apocalypse started, and you get a little more of the zombie action. And so now you know you're in the middle of this thing that has just begun. So much fun. By the third book, we get more of this, and I start to get worried. And I even said that on one of my videos. I said that because of the fact that, you have these 4 or 5 actually separate stories, and they are not really showing how they're connected in any way, shape, or form, except for the fact that they're all dealing with this thing that's going on inside of the world. I was worried about how they were going to bring these together. And so that's what basically, did not happen. We get to the 5th book, and none of the stories actually connect. And so now I believe that their purpose was just to build the world in which we're going to live in this particular story setting. Because on the very last page of this book, you see that it's Year 1, Volume 2. It's like on the back cover of the book. So Year 1, Volume 2 is going to be coming soon. If they continue on with these mini stories the way that they did, I don't know if I'll be on board with it, because I'd rather them, basically take each one and give them a whole book so we can follow. Because the tease is that this is, going to be coming together, and it just never does. And one of the other things that I did not enjoy about this last book, it just seemed like each one of the stories was tied up really quick and ended. And, it didn't feel satisfying, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So the artwork has been great. The dynamics of how they've done that has been great. They hook you with the characters really quick, but they really don't go anywhere, except for the fact to understand that they're all affected and living in this zombie apocalypse. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely worth checking out. But in the end, by the last book, I think I was left unsatisfied. I don't know if I will go forward with the second volume, if this is the way they're going to keep going. Because at that point, you're just looking at kind of a mini anthology through at the books, and not ones that were satisfying in the end. So anyway, there it is. Year 1, number 5 finally ended, and I was left wanting more. Okay, so on to our next one. Here's another one that is the final issue, and that's Rogue Planet number 5. This one by Oni Press. This one is written by Cullen Bunn, and art by Andy McDonald. Now, this was a very satisfying read, and from the very beginning, Cullen Bunn puts you into this setting that is completely sci-fi, but also has the hallmarks of some of his horror writing, which I absolutely love. And so I was on for the ride. And so the basic premise of it is that there's this group of salvagers who are going through space, and they get this basically a transponder signal, a distress signal, and they're going to go check it out. And you find out that their motives are not like very altruistic. Yeah, they'll help, but they're basically looking for a score. Can they take the person's ship? Can they, basically mine out on some of the resources that are there? And so there's a place where there's people, which means there's things to be taken. And so they're basically on their way for that. And then when you get there, you find out that the distress signal is actually sent out by the planet itself, trying to lure people in, because the planet is actually alive and is dead set on killing you. So hence Rogue Planet. And it's just been fun from the very beginning. This book places you in very familiar territory, playing on a lot of science fiction tropes that we all know and love. It draws heavily on the alien storyline, which I really love, but it definitely gets into some other things too that, like I said, very familiar territory. The artwork I loved. It's very creepy, but still has this science fiction feel going on to it. And so I've really enjoyed that. I think Robbie had mentioned on his video there was like a Cthulhian feel to it. I'd fully agree with that as well. But really, when it comes down to it, the end of this book is something that I was not expecting. It was a pleasant surprise. I really, really like how they ended this book. And so here's another one that'll be coming out on trade paperback very soon. If you haven't read it, I would definitely say check it out. It was a fun read and one that would definitely be worth investing in to get that trade paperback. So there you have it, Rogue Planet by Oni Press. And it was a fun read, really fun read. All right, folks, so now we're on to the pick of the week. And this week's pick is The Department of Truth by Image Comics. This one written by James Tynion and art by Martin Simons. Now, first of all, some of you guys know that I am part of Bueller's Thunderdome competition, and where a bunch of us YouTubers are making our picks of the week for the week, and then having everybody vote on who has the best pick. And it's kind of difficult because we're picking before we've actually read the books. And so I'll just tip my hat. I kind of knew a lot of people would probably be picking this book. And so I went with what I thought would be a good competition for this book, which was The Three Jokers. So The Three Jokers was actually my pick in the Thunderdome. But after reading the books this week, this book wins hands down. This book is definitely the pick of the week. It was amazing. So if you don't know, the premise of the book is basically you find out that all of the conspiracy theories that you have heard about, flat Earth, the Kennedy assassination, the moon landing, just all the conspiracy theories that we've ever known are actually true. And then we find out that not only are they true, but there's a secret society, the Department of Truth, who have been covering them up this whole time. We don't know why they've been covering them up. We kind of got a little bit of an inkling as to what's going on there. But I just have to say that the book from the very beginning hooks you. It puts you in this place of surrealness. The artwork is absolutely... it's not my style of artwork. Normally I wouldn't go in for this type of style, but it creates an atmosphere that is kind of surrealistic and kind of you're going through trying to figure things out. There's like a confusion, and I think the artwork plays into that and creates a mood throughout the whole book that really, really it just works. And Tynion's writing is just so good right now. I mean, Something is Killing the Children. What he's doing with Batman has been incredible. And now this book, he's just killing it right now. And so, basically, we get this thing unfolding, and then the last page of the book, we get kind of a reveal that shocked the heck out of me. I didn't think they were going to go there. But it was that final page that cemented it. This was a phenomenal read. And definitely I am so looking forward to the next issue. And I'm in for this ride, folks, because it's going to be fun. I love conspiracy theory stuff anyway. There's some of those that I buy into myself. Others I definitely do not. And so to see where he's kind of taking this whole understanding of conspiracy theories, it's just a lot of fun. And anyway, I'm on board with it. I can't wait. And so if you're one of the few that hasn't picked up this book, I would say definitely go get it. I know it's still on the shelf. I don't think they've sold out, but they should, because it's amazing. So there you have it, Department of Truth, #1, my pick of the week. And if this continues like this will definitely be one of the best reads of the year. So there you have it, folks. There's my reviews. Hope you enjoyed those. Before we end the show, we always end with our panel of the week. And this week's panel of the week comes from ShangChi, Kung Fu Master #1. There's a page where it's basically giving a flashback to stuff that happened in the past, and you get kind of this reveal of the 5 weapons masters kind of clan type thing. And they have a page where they have them coming out of panels, and those panels are kind of juxtaposed, so it kind of makes a 3D effect. And it's just a dynamic image. The artwork on the page is a little bit different than the rest of the book because it is a flashback scene, and so it's meant to have a different feel. Really enjoyed how they did that. There's some extra line work that gives it kind of a little bit of a muddier feel in a certain sense, so that you know it's not current day. But in the midst of this, the way he's got these weapons masters coming out of these panels that are just cattywampus to each other, I just thought was a really cool scene. I was really impressed with the panel work there because he's not actually creating panels, but he is, so to speak. So there it is in all its glory. Hope you enjoyed that. There were a lot of panels that I could have picked this week for sure, but there's one inside of the three Jokers that had Poison Ivy that I just absolutely enjoyed. But this right here was the one that struck me just because of the dynamics of how he's got them coming out of those panels. I thought it was really cool. So there it is. There's my panel of the week, folks. What was your panel of the week? Give me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite panel was this week. So there you have it, guys. There's the show for this week, and I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. I also want to say thank you for being patient with me. Basically, this last week we had a family emergency, and my mom was in the hospital, and it was very, very tough on me, very tough on the family. And I know Bueller, basically that's all he said was that I had a family emergency, and he asked people to send, prayers and good thoughts. And I just want to say thank you for all of you that reached out. It really touched me, because it was a really trying week, on many different levels, not just that. And there was a lot of tears shed, a lot of worry, and so I just want to say thank you very much for those of you who not only reached out but prayed, sent well wishes and good thoughts, and I really appreciate you guys. Again, that's one of the things that I love about this is the relationships that I've formed and the people who are part of this community. You guys are awesome. And I just really appreciate you. But that's basically what happened this week. And then, of course, the week before, I had issues with my back. And that's an ongoing thing. Hopefully, I get that under control. But I do have problems with my back, and that does take me down sometimes. And so real life things that I got to deal with, and will take precedent, over my comic book hobby and my YouTube channel in a heartbeat. And it took me out of the game this last week. So, but I'm back, and like I said, I'll be doing the filming right here in the Bob Cave from now on. And but I just want to say thank you guys for supporting the channel, and for more than that, for supporting me the way that you have. It's really touched me, and so thank you guys. So there you have it, folks. That's Having Comics with My Coffee this week. If this is your first time watching the show and you enjoyed the content, do me a favor, hit that subscription button. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button. But do me a favor, leave a comment below and let me know what it is you didn't like about it, because I'm always looking to improve. And I'd really like to understand what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. And then, I don't always change based on what people say, but I do listen, and I do want to improve. So anyway, there you have it. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, support your local comic shop, folks, and Excelsior. Take care.
I'm gonna rearrange your face if you continue